What's good, everybody? What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Johnny Finesse. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we got another Jimmy Highroller video. They gave up one of the best players in the world. If you're new to the channel and haven't subbed yet, hit the sub button and that bell notifications too, y'all. I need that. We're very close to where we gotta go. I need that support, and everybody that has supported me before, thank you. I appreciate that. With that being said, let's get into it.
Here's a chart of the best scorers of the 2016-2017 NBA season, featuring all of the greatest players in the game. LeBron James, Stephen Curry, Kawhi, Damian Lillard, Anthony Davis, but I want y'all to take a guess at who this player is. He scored more points in that season than any player I just named, averaging nearly 29 points for the entire season. Need another hint? Well, that same season, this player was an all-star and made the All-NBA second team, earning more votes than Paul George and Chris Paul, and earning nearly as many votes as Giannis and Kevin Durant. By virtually every metric, this player was a top 10 player in the NBA that season. But if you don't know who I'm talking about yet, let me compare him exclusively to his peers. In the 2016-2017 season, this player had a higher PER, more win shares, and averaged more points per game than Stephen Curry, Kyrie Irving, Chris Paul, and Damian Lillard. Sounds like an all-time talent, right? Well, these are the numbers from Isaiah Thomas, a man that just a few seasons ago was an MVP candidate, but was abruptly bounced out of the league for reasons that just don't add up.
Hey, man, walk on me.
Them Kobe's is nice. I need to get a Kobe's just like that again, bro. Just nice ball kicks.
2 weeks ago at the AEBL Pro-Am in Atlanta, Isaiah Thomas put on a scoring clinic that only a lethal NBA vet could produce.
Oh, he did this shit again? Nah, he's wildin'. He's wildin'. He's wildin'. Nah, he's just pulling, bro. That's 53?
A 65-point performance by the once great Celtic guard. And this Pro-Am is no joke, featuring NBA players like Paul Millsap, Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams, and Mike Scott, as well as
all players that like average around 12 to 15
dozens of
points.
high-talent college players and overseas pros. To go out and score 65 on any level is incredible. And to do it in this summer league is just that more special. This league has been going on for 8 years. Isaiah Thomas pulled up for one game and set a new league record for points. So how does he follow up this legendary performance?
81. Do it up the crib. Boy, do a crib. Sheesh. Doing it on tall defenders. That's what makes it crazy sometimes, too. Ooh.
Just a week after his 65-point game, Isaiah Thomas flew across the country to Jamal Crawford's Pro-Am in Seattle and put up 81 points, destroying the old league scoring record of 66 points set 2 years ago by NBA guard Langston Galloway. Again, IT did this against pro-level competition. 81 points. Mans had 48 in the second half, being guarded by everyone on the opposing team, including guys with NBA size and length. There was literally nothing they could do about it. Even Jamal Crawford, who's been hosting the Summer League for almost 2 decades and has seen it all, is on the sideline like, What am I witnessing? And this Pro-Am has been one of the most prolific ones in recent history. A few years ago, Zach LaVine pulled up and dropped 50 points. Kevin Porter Jr. scored 40 points in a game a couple years ago. Aaron Gordon came through and put up 36. DeJounte Murray, a homegrown talent, scored 44 points in the crossover Pro-Am. But nobody has done what Isaiah Thomas did last week. So my question to the NBA is, why is this man not in the league? If you can watch this footage and tell me with a straight face that this is not NBA level talent, you're out of your mind. In 2017, Isaiah Thomas averaged 28.9 points per game.
Yeah, that was
out
tough.
of every single active NBA player, only 10.
And back then, that like 20, like that's the new like 20, 30 is the new 20. So he's wildin'. Like he's wildin'.
Have averaged that many points in a single season, including 6 MVPs and 6 scoring champions. All of these players will eventually be first ballot Hall of Famers. And then there's Isaiah Thomas, who put up these numbers while leading the Celtics to the Eastern Conference Finals. And yet somehow, less than 2 seasons later, he is struggling to even make an NBA roster, bouncing from the Celtics to the Cavaliers to the Lakers to the Nuggets to the Wizards to the Pelicans.
I didn't even know he was on that shit. I thought he was even like on. Like, I thought he was even in the NBA. Like, he was in that shit. I thought he was out, like, around this time right here. Because this is the last time I seen him for real, no cap. Then all of these I never knew. I probably knew about this one. Probably knew about that one. All the other shits, no, I never knew.
6 teams in 5 seasons for a player that not too long ago was doing things that only generational talent has accomplished. Can someone offer me a real reason why Isaiah Thomas isn't in the NBA? The only knock on his game that anyone ever suggests is his height, which leads to him being a massive defensive liability. But in his last 3 full seasons in the NBA, Isaiah had an average defensive box plus minus of negative 0.9, which sounds bad, but it's not much worse than many other star point guards in the NBA. Over the last 3 seasons, Stephen Curry has had an average defensive box plus minus of negative 0.3. Damian Lillard has had an average DBPM of negative 0.9. De'Aaron Fox has had a DBPM of negative 0.5
people don't play no defense
over the last 3 seasons.
And you can't even like be like, oh, these niggas score, but he's scoring too. Just not like the way he was in Boston. Like,
entering the NBA, John Morant has had a DBPM of negative 1.6, and Trae Young has had an average DBPM of negative 2.3. Teams are willing to give up a little bit more on the defensive end if it means they get excellent output on the offensive end, especially for guards. But for some reason, this exception is not made for Isaiah Thomas. The misconception that his defense is so bad that he isn't even worth having on a roster is just flat out wrong. And other than this one critique, I can't even think of another reason why teams continue to pass up on him. There are 450 roster spots in the NBA, and every single player that has one is in the extremely small percentage of basketball players that deserve one. Even the worst NBA player could walk all of us in a game of one-on-one. But with that being said, a 35-year-old Jared Dudley is still on the Lakers offering nothing. Team material.
No cap. He just sits on the bench, bro. Getting millions just sitting on the bench. Like, 1 or 2 mil just sitting on the bench, bro. That shit is crazy.
The Cavaliers signed a 38-year-old Anderson Varejao last season just to give him another shot. For crying out loud, Udonis Haslem has played 15
Anderson Varejao for the Cavs, like, niggas trash, like
15 games in 3 seasons, and he just signed another deal with the Heat. Dude's stat sheet.
He still plays? I thought he didn't play.
Just says moral support. And I know I'm being harsh to get my point across, but you cannot convince me that of the 450 roster spots in the NBA, Isaiah Thomas hasn't earned one of them. This man averaged 35 points per game for an entire month. He dropped 52 points in a game, then turned around and dropped 53 points in the playoffs against a prime John Wall. The only player in NBA history under 6 feet tall to drop 50 plus points in a playoff game. And the most recent player under 6 feet to score 50 plus points in an NBA game since Damon Stoudemire did it in 2005. He put up 44 points against an excellent defender in Tony Allen. He put 39 points on Derrick Rose's head. He dropped 41 on Lillard. He dropped 38 on Patrick Beverley.
He's cooking
everybody.
He put up
41 against Reggie Jackson, and he smoked Kyle Lowry for 44 points. This excellence is not a fluke, and it is obviously a skill set that is NBA worthy. Now sure, these games were 4 years ago, and things have changed since then. If you look at Isaiah's numbers since that season, they've clearly fallen off dramatically. But only a fraction of this decline can be attributed.
Yeah, it's only because they've been playing them less games. Like, they've been playing them less games. 22, 28.9, 15, 14, 15. And he's still putting up buckets too. Like, he's still putting up good buckets. Like, this is like $50 million buckets, like right here.
To his injuries,
like $50 million
just
buckets.
Getting worse. The main factor here is a lack of opportunity. In Boston, the Celtics gave Isaiah the keys to the offense. They allowed him to actually use his skill set the way it was meant to be used. And clearly, it worked. Since that season, the Celtics had the best record in the Eastern Conference and made it all the way to the conference finals. The heart and soul of that team being Isaiah Thomas. Just look at this starting five.
And they never went back. You feel me? They never went back.
Isaiah Thomas
I think they went back. Nah, I don't think they. Conference finals, Boston, nah.
To the conference finals with this starting five, and was sadly and unjustifiably stripped away from his role the very next season, which was the genesis of his downfall. NBA GMs would rather have a prototypical lanky 6'7" forward who comes off the bench every once in a while and will give him 5 points, rather than an Isaiah Thomas who is a proven talent. NBA teams would rather have a 7-foot center with no merit to experiment with and throw money at for 5 seasons than have Isaiah Thomas. And I don't get it. The man is 32 years old. He's a 2-time All-Star who's been a part of NBA culture for a decade. I just don't get it. A few years ago, when news broke that Isaiah's sister passed away, this man still came out the next day with a heavy heart and had a monster game in the playoffs against the Bulls.
Nah, that shit was crazy.
That shit was crazy. And he showed leadership. This performance, although far from his best, was defining for him in his career. This man has never had an easy path. He's had to fight through adversity even in his brightest moments. So to see him like this, with NBA teams continuing to turn him away and refusing to acknowledge the hard work and dedication he has poured into his craft, is just sad. He doesn't deserve this. I really hope Isaiah Thomas is given another opportunity to shine in the NBA. He is more than capable, and he not only deserves it, but he's earned it. Hope you all enjoyed, and as always, until next time.
No cap though, like he dead letting like people sit in the league get no type of play time, still get millions of dollars, and he could put a whole new essential to your team for the same price. Like, you feel me? Let him lead a second unit. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would let him do. Let him lead a second unit. That would be wavy. But if you made it to the end of the video, you obviously like the video, so you obviously gotta subscribe. Hit the subscribe button and that bell notifications too, so you don't miss a thing again. It's your boy Johnny.